and God connected him in just a supernatural way. Watch for God's miracles. Watch for his connectings, and then watch him tuck someone into your heart forever. God bless you on your new journey.
You know, it's every time I get to come and be in front of a new group of people that are becoming Stephen Ministries, it's exciting to me to see what has come about from the beginning of our journey. And when I asked my buddy down there James to take, if he would take this over, he said only if Pastor Dale is on board. Well, we had a meeting with Pastor Dale, and Pastor Dale handed him some paper that was an outline of what was coming up, and Stephen Ministry was right at the head of that. And James said, "Oh, okay." And that's the way it went. And then it's exciting to see how this group has continued on, and the richness of the people that are a part of this is so awesome, because every single one of you are going to leave this ministry someday, hopefully not soon, but someday, with memories that you will never forget, and a training that will help you in every aspect. When we first started this, I had people that were wanting to be chaplains, and they went through this ministry, and when they went into the chaplaincy, they were ready to go, because this was more intensive than the chaplain training. And so they were ready to become chaplains almost the minute they walked out of here, because some of them were doing that as well. And so it's something that you will carry with you the rest of your life, and how to minister to people, and learning to listen. Believe me, that is not always easy to do, especially if you're doing counseling like we were. You're used to counseling people. It's really hard to switch gears and become a listener, a total listener, and not want to try to help and nurture along. You do nurture, but it's them that is doing the work through the ministry. And I tell you, it is an awesome ministry. And I am so thankful for all of those that are here. And thank you for Kelly and Kurt. It's called it's called memory loss. But it's neat to see what they're doing. They're doing a wonderful job. And it's exciting when you see people take over what you got started and see it go so well. And it's really, really neat. And thank God for those of you that just graduated. It's awesome. It's very humbling to see how well this group is doing. Thank you very much.
I've got in my notes here, people keep saying 13 years, and I got verification from one of our stalwarts here. It's been 14 years. We're in our 14th year of Stephenman. Right. We're in that 14th year. So we have several current Stephen ministers that were here from the very beginning. And when I call your names, would you please stand? Because it means they've been into this, that 13 to 14 years. That's a long-term commitment, because initially we only asked for 2 years. That means they've really stuck along with us. Gary and Mardis Hofer. Sandy Davis. And James Diaz. Now I'd like to introduce our leadership team and ask them to remain standing. So James Diaz is our training coordinator. Charlie Smith, right back here, he's our master media coordinator. Martis Hofer is our Sunday small groups coordinator. Joanna Ortega, who was unable to be here this evening, is our community awareness coordinator. Gary Hofer is our men's referral coordinator. Sharon Shepard and Araceli Solis, she has not been able to be here, but they are our female referral coordinators. Barbara Wakefield, she is our continuing education coordinator. Sandy Davis, she assists with makeups, informal interviews, community awareness. She's kind of an all-around coordinator. And Mike Smith, he is our Thursday small group coordinator. So let's give him a hand. And I'd like to recognize our small group facilitators. These are the ones that meet on Thursdays or Sundays in the small groups and facilitate our supervision groups. And so Gary Hofer, he does this on the Sunday mornings. Joanna Camaro, I don't believe she was here. Sharon Shepard, Araceli Solis, and Susan Hoffman. And so we've got a couple of them here.
Susan's at Disney World with her grandchildren.
Oh, that's rough. That's tough. Okay. All right. There's a number of current Stephen ministers that are here also. So any other Stephen ministers that haven't called your name, would you please stand up? Here we go. Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay, we're good. All right, so I want to say thank you to every one of you, the Stephen ministers, the coordinators, all the different roles that you play, and for your willingness to respond to the needs of others, helping them through difficult times and helping them see God and participate in His redemptive story. You are the skin of God's love to them. Literally, you bring His love physically to them, and that is very important. We are the caregiver, but we know that God is the cure giver. When someone is a Stephen minister caregiver, it means that the family is asked to understand when a husband, a wife, father, or mother is away helping someone else. So to the family members who are here with the Stephen minister caregiver, we want to say thank you for your understanding and willingness to let your loved one spend time with someone else who's experiencing a difficult time in their season, because that means they're away from you and they're helping a stranger. But that's very important. Some of you may be wondering, what is Stephen ministry all about? We've been talking a lot about it. In the book of Acts, chapter 6, Stephen and 6 others were selected to serve and meet the needs of the widows and those Christians in need in the early church. Thus began Stephen's ministry. They prayed over them, commissioned them, and sent them on, just kind of like we did here with Pastor Dale. Stephen ministry is about training lay caregivers to provide high-quality, confidential, free, Christ-centered care to people who are going through a normal life crisis or difficulty, one in which their normal coping mechanisms are still in place, but they would benefit from having somebody walk alongside them through the crisis or difficulty. This process assists care receivers with handling the crisis or difficulty in a healthier manner, generally faster, and enables them to come out of the crisis emotionally and spiritually stronger. Stephen ministers provide confidential care to others by meeting with the care receiver for 1 hour or more each week. They talk with, listen to, reflect back, pray with and for, encourage, are there for, and refer their care receiver to other services when needed. Stephen ministers are trained to provide 5 types of care: crisis, follow-up, chronic, preventative, and supportive. Some of the topics that the Stephen ministers receive training in are distinctive Christian caring, dealing with feelings, the art of listening, assertiveness, relating gently and firmly, maintaining boundaries, that's a big one, confidentiality, mental health and referrals, dealing with depression, grief, suicidal persons, and so much more. It really trains them not only to be good caregivers, but they learn life skills that they can use at work, at home with family members and friends. It just makes them an overall better, more well-rounded individual to provide care to others. The training does not stop after their 50-plus hours initially, because they receive continuing education on relevant topics and then supervision and support from their small group twice a month. They generally commit to serve as a Stephen minister for a minimum of 2 years. This is a big commitment, and one they agree to willingly as they fulfill the law of Christ by bearing one another's burdens, which is referenced in Galatians 6:2. Now Wilbur will perform his third song.
Be still, there is a healer. His love is deeper than the sea. His mercy is unfailing. His arms a fortress for the weak. Let faith arise. Let faith arise. I lift my hands to believe again. You are my refuge, you are my strength. As I pour out my heart, these things I remember. You are faithful, God, forever. Be still, there is a river. It flows from Calvary's tree, a fountain for the thirsty, pure grace that washes over me. Let faith arise. Open my eyes. I lift my hands to believe again. You are my refuge, you are my strength. As I pour out my heart, these things I remember. You are faithful, God, forever. Lift my hands to believe again. You are my refuge, you are my strength. As I pour out my heart, these things I remember. You are faithful, God, forever. Let faith arise. Open my eyes. Let faith arise. Open my eyes. I lift my hands to believe again. I lift my hands to believe again. You are my refuge, you are my strength. As I pour out my heart, these things I remember. You are faithful, God, forever. I lift my hands to believe again. You are my refuge, you are my strength. As I pour out my heart, these things I remember. You are faithful, God, faithful. faithful God forever. Let faith arise. Open my eyes. Let faith arise.
We want to thank you very much for volunteering your time to this and blessing us with your voice and your ministry. So we have something to give you as a show of thank you, small token of our appreciation. Yes. Thank you very much. Awesome job. Okay, now we're going to begin giving out the certificates to the Stephen ministers, and we're going to call them up individually. So when I call you up, if you can kind of come on over to this side where Kelly will meet you over here. Individually, the Stephen ministers have completed 50-plus hours of training over the past 9 months or less. They're on the expedited class. It was quicker. There have been 2 separate training sessions that have been completed. One was on Sunday mornings, that started in September and had 4 students. And then the second one was the accelerated class, which they covered 2 sessions a week, as I mentioned, and completing the training in half the time when we had 3 students there. As a result,